Alright guys, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the future of AMD GPUs. So if you like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. Now obviously we have had the PlayStation 5 Pro out on the market for the last 6 days. That as PSSR, which is machine learning, that is a proprietary PlayStation solution to ML upscaling. So when we look at that, my friends, and I actually, bought the PlayStation 5 Pro at launch when it came out, and I've been playing with that for the last 6 days. I've been trying every game that is upgraded with PSSR. I've been looking at the differences between that and some FSR over on the PC versions of some of these games. And I want to say in games like Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, Horizon Forbidden West, those two games don't actually have it, but what the PlayStation 5 Pro is able to do with those games is absolutely incredible. But when I look at some of the other stuff, like God of War, or when I look at games like obviously Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man Miles Morales or the original Spider-Man, just, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and I look at how PSSR is absolutely transforming these games and making it so you can have your cake and eat it too with the obviously with the overall image quality that you get on games like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I do think that once FSR4 comes out on these AMD GPUs, I'm assuming that it's possibly going to be all the way back to RDNA 2. Now, if AMD can pull that off to bring FSR4 machine learning all the way back to RDNA 2 and then RDNA 3, obviously launch, before or with RDNA 4, this is going to be an absolute freaking incredible revelation that, it's going to kind of be annoying that they've had the ability to do machine learning since RDNA 2, but nonetheless, fine wine, AMD, you get more bang for your buck. Obviously, they continue to support it. The open platform, gives them the ability to do that, and I like that. I like that about AMD. And when you listen to Jack Hannah and talking about when they're moving forward and they're trying to unify CDNA and RDNA later down the road with UDNA, and they talk about how they plan this stuff out 3-4 generations in advance so that they can get those pieces in place and be able to move the software along so that they're not having to rewrite a bunch of code and all of that stuff. That's what gives me hope for the AMD platform, because once somebody buys into these GPUs, not everybody's upgrading every year like I do. Some people are buying these and they're going 1 generation, 2 generations, possibly 3 generations before even trying to upgrade their cards. So at the end of the 3rd generation or something, they're finally getting features that are backported to those GPUs that they can be able to use those and potentially even extend that a little bit longer. Now, a lot of people look at it oh man, well, they should have had it right at launch. Some people, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to argue with that. The fact that, machine learning has taken off and just been able to propel NVIDIA and propel, things in different directions and get people we're literally talking about PC guys creaming their jeans over upscalers. Let that sink in. PC guys creaming their jeans over upscalers. You remember the thing they used to make fun of us console fanboys for? Yeah. Who would have thought? Who would have thought the PC bros would be yeah, this? Well, it happened. And I honestly kind of, I kind of look at AMD and I'm like, maybe AMD was probably thinking, gosh, dude, they're the PC crowd's doesn't care about this anyway. They just want rasterization, so they kept moving along with the rasterized power. And you've literally got a 7900 XTX that trades blows or outright beats the 4080 Super, and sometimes can trade blows with a 4090. in rasterized power, and like the NVIDIA bros are like, no man, we need our upscalers, and they literally freak out on developers when they don't get like upscaling and stuff. I mean, you remember the tissy fit they threw over Starfield. I'm just like, wow guys, this is absolutely insane that we are at a point now where Intel launched a card successfully with an upscaler. NVIDIA's had, DLSS, and it's moving along. It's doing really good. Now we got PlayStation 5 Pro that has a machine learning upscaler. Guys, a lot of people are probably going to try to tell me I'm a flip-flopper, because whatever. Maybe it's just to the point where I'm just like, you know what, man? I can't beat them. I might as well just take what I can when it comes to the upscalers as a win or a no win. And with PlayStation 5, it's kind of opened the door for me to reboot. It has. It's kind of opened the door for me to reboot and, look at these upscalers for what they really are. They are intended to help deliver on the visual experience for your gaming and help you be able to gain more performance. But we don't need that necessarily on the AMD GPUs right now, because we have frame generation at a driver level. So I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing, man. Interpolated frames, fake frames, frame generation, DLSS, upscaling, all of this stuff is essentially just a way to help you enjoy your experience more. I've never really cared for upscaling because of what it did to image quality. And I still have issues with the way that upscaling tweaks my image quality. On DLSS, I don't like it's not that I don't like it, it's just that, okay, when I get into a game and it looks like, and it's got DLSS on, and it's all, makes it all sharp and crispy on a 4K screen, at first I'm like, damn, that looks incredible. And I do that every single time, and I'm like, whoa, that looks insanely good. And then a few minutes later, I'm like, I'm not as impressed with the way that DLSS looks. Like, it's impressive when you first see it and turn it on, but for me, it just doesn't continue to impress me as I'm playing the game. I usually find myself getting distracted by some of the stuff because it amplifies the negative stuff more than you would think, at least for me anyway. Some people might not even notice that stuff, but some things I notice, and DLSS, it makes them stand out even more. But when I'm playing, like FSR or native resolution or something, it's like I don't notice that stuff, and I find myself being able to stay more immersed in the experience a lot longer. And I get the same feeling when I turn on when I turn on, like when I go from an NVIDIA GPU over to an AMD GPU and I'm downsampling, I get like that. I get that, like, whoa, this looks incredible. But the funny thing is I stay engaged in that, like, wow, this looks good, significantly longer than I ever do with DLSS. And I think that's maybe where my disconnect comes for like DLSS. Well, when I'm looking at PSSR, guys, on the PlayStation 5, I am not getting that DLSS effect after playing for a little while, where it stops looking good. Like, the PSSR continues to look good, and I really do believe that has to do with the fact that we are still on an AMD GPU, and the way AMD GPUs render the visual quality. To me, that looks significantly better. It looks more detailed, it looks richer, it just looks fuller. Like I said, it looks like velvet cake. It looks good, it looks dense. And I like the way the visuals look. And I'm so grateful that PSSR is not taking away from that image quality and just replacing it with extra sharpness. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, there's a lot of games out there. Like, I've played like The Last of Us with DLSS on. I've played a lot of games with DLSS on, and I just can't do like the way that those games look. Like, I don't like the way that like DLSS, it looks good and it makes it sharp and it makes 4K look really good. But like I said, it amplifies the things that I'm like, oh gosh, man, that makes that not look good, or it strips out the texture over here, or it just, I like start noticing stuff a lot while I'm using DLSS. Whereas I don't notice that stuff as much when I'm utilizing either FSR or just on an AMD GPU altogether. I don't notice those little quirks and those little flaws and stuff. So I don't know, man. Like it's weird. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I don't notice them on the AMD GPU, so I like that, and I'm glad that PSSR on PlayStation 5 is absolutely in line with what I like to see on my screen. So that gives me a lot of hope for how this is going to perform, how FSR4 is going to perform when it comes to the AMD GPU lineup. Like, I'm actually pretty excited about this. And you know, when it comes to stuff like the ROG Ally, you know, and you know, like Steam Deck and all this other stuff, maybe Xbox Series S, because if FSR4 can run on RDNA 2, that means that it could potentially run on Xbox Series X and Series S. That would be kind of nice to see, you know, some of these games get access to FSR4 and be able to get upscaled, which would be pretty interesting. I'd like to see how that would work on there. And then, you know, anything that we can do to make our games not look fuzzy or blurry, I'm all for, guys. I'm all for it. Does it make the developers lazy? I don't necessarily think so. I don't know, man. Like, PC and console tech, guys, is so freaking weird these days. Like, it has never been like this before, ever. Like, this is the weirdest generation when it comes to visuals that I think we've ever freaking seen. We have never seen a regression like this in our games, going from, you know, starting the generation with 4K 60 and getting halfway through it and we're at like 864p at 30 frames a second or 40 frames a second. Like, we've never seen that before. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy, man. It's completely the opposite of what we started with in the PS4 and Xbox One generation. Like, it is completely backwards from that generation. And I don't know, man. Like, I'm excited for FSR4 now. I am. Spending 6 days with the PS5 Pro has absolutely made me excited for FSR4. So, all right, my friends, if you like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.